Well, welcome to this Zoom session at the Digital Art Fair Hong Kong. This is a very exciting Zoom meeting for me because I'm very proud and happy to share the screen with dear colleagues from Spanish speakers, but we are going to do it in English because this is going to be offered internationally. We are participating in this very interesting and avant-garde and very challenging and also exciting event with the Digital Art Fair in Hong Kong. And I am very happy and proud to be presenting three great panelists that we're going to talk about video, about this new media in art and how this is related both in terms of the support, the way that we are sharing, circulating, and even commercializing these kinds of works, but also, of course, and mostly important, about the content, about the stories that inspire this kind of artistic production. And we are also going to try to understand a little bit what is behind the artist and the creators and the galleries and the promoters in order to be supporting this kind of very particular medium, which is a little bit different probably because it's new from the general way that we are related with the image in terms of art, which is mostly obviously a painting, perhaps a photograph, an analog photograph, then a digital photograph. And now we are getting into different realm with video, with GIFs, with installations, with all these support of the image that not necessarily has to be still, not necessarily have to be flat, not necessarily have to be just something narrative, but something different. So let me welcome my panelists. We have Gregorio Camara from Spain. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Arturo. Very happy to be with you here.
Eugenio, that he's also in Spain. And hello, how are you, Eugenio?
How are you? ¿Cómo estáis? ¿Todos bien?
All good. And Enrique Méndez-de-Hoyos, who is also in Mexico City, like me. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start presenting you guys, kindly asking you to please talk about a little bit about yourself, to give a little presentation of you, and then we can talk about your work in 5 minutes, and then we are going to have a round of questions and answers. And obviously, if you want to go in any moment in Spanish, we can do a little simple translation. That's more than okay. So talking about this platform that we are using, we are sharing our works in Digital Art Fair. Enrique Méndez-de-Hoyos is showing there a video from a recent creation, which is called The Fables of the Anthropological Machine. And it's a feature film that talks about the end of the culture, the beginning of the nature, but better off, Enrique, if you could talk a little bit about you, about your practice, and then a little bit about the video.
Yes, Arturo, thanks a lot. And thanks, everybody. I'm really happy to be here in this panel. Well, just as you said, I'm a visual artist working in video installation and photographic series. I understand video as a deconstructed cinema. That's how I think of video. And if you want, I can show actually a brief images of the fables, just to make
could
this.
Could you tell us first how did you become a video artist? A little bit about your practice, then before going to the piece.
Sure. I was trained as a photographer and as a journalist in the National University of Mexico. Then I had the great opportunity to study in New York University. I was actually, one of my teachers was Peter Campos, which is basically a pioneer in video installations. And I was also happy to be a student of Harun Farooqui. So with those two guys, you know, around me, I was really encouraged to do video art. And I tend to, I have a strong relation with breaking the structure of lineal temporalities in video. That's my thing. What I do is play with history, with art history, with the history of cinema, and I tend to mix time and defragment. And I also have a specific interest in Mexican history, as I have done things, for example, departing from a painting from Manet called The Execution of Maximilian. I have done work about Tlatelolco and the different strong things that have happened over there. And recently I came to live, some years ago, I started living in the middle of the woods where my studio is, and had the opportunity to observe the growth of the metropolitan area, and how it influenced the natural, what we call natural life or landscape. And that's pretty much what my work right now is about.
Especially in a city, in a metropolitan city like Mexico City, which can be compared to all these big cities around the world, the relationship with the nature has changed. And also we are getting to a stage where, probably it's going to be a good thing if more people are getting with these kind of ideas, that when this idea of the anthropological superiority is finally breaking, just like a lot of structures are being questioned. Also, this idea that we are on top of nature, dealing with nature, or trying to dominate the nature, we are getting to the point that I think is amazing, when we are accepting that we are just part of the nature. We are just another animal on earth, and another thing here. And these ideas are behind the video. So can you tell us a little bit about the video and share it, so we can share with our other panelists?
Sure. The video that I am presenting is called Fables of the Anthropological Machine, and it's the film piece is divided into four
Excuse me, Enrique. Let me ask our dear friend Joycey to play the video, so we can.
I'm able. She told me already
if you could share
screen
on top.
Sure, I will. Can you see it?
Yes.
All right. So yeah, I'm gonna play the video while I talk about it. So the film piece is divided into 4 chapters that address key moments in the narrative that we humans have created about ourselves. The first chapter is called Theriomorphic, or Theriomorph, and seeks to approach the moment when the human being strip off the animal mask and the tensions that this generates. The human being can only affirm its condition by denying the animal that sustains it. The second chapter is called the Carrier Bag Theory, and it references Ursula K. Le Guin's text called The Carrier Bag Theory of Fiction. And it proposes that in opposition to the narrative of patriarchal heroism, of spears and hunting of wild animals, she plays with the theory of the container or the handmade bag as the first socio-cultural manufactured object and its implication 1,000 years ago. You know, the idea of the container as a mean of transportation, but also a mean of accumulation. I think about the consequences of producing billions and trillions of bags and containers. It's a lot of trash and waste. The third chapter that you're going to see a few images. I prepared this reel, which is a really quick view of what you can see in the film. The third chapter is called Green Screen, and it traces the narrative between Hansel and Gretel crumbs from the Green Brothers, of course, and the cookies. So it established this connection between Hansel and Gretel crumbs and the cookies we produce on our digital path. And one of the questions here is how images became so essential on the relationship of human and nature. But most of all, the use of images to project all sorts of fantasies about nature. It's like something we can get enough, you know, projecting fantasies about nature through the image.
Thank you, Enrique.
Now,
it's
I'm almost done. Just see, this fourth chapter is called La Noche Salva. It's just a few more seconds because it's really important, because it's based, you know, it translates as the quiet night or the serene night. It's based on a text of Walter Benjamin, and this fourth chapter places our characters at the crossroads of postmodernity, taking on the problem of the figure that humanity will or would adopt in relation to nature in the post-historical world, the world that we are living right now. So we're up to see what kind of relationship we are going to figure and perform with nature. And that's pretty much it, Arturo.
Thank you, Enrique. And thank you for preparing this specific video that I just want to say that it's not the actual timing or the actual video that is shown both in Hong Kong and also in the platforms that you where you share your video. We're going to talk later a little bit about the production and also the way that we circulate these kind of artistic productions. I think also the video as a possibility to support art and to circulate ideas has been there since the very beginning of the medium. Still now people, I guess, are a little bit intrigued about how they are going to deal or to present or to participate or to be interested in or even collect videos. Or all these new media that are being the main treat at the Digital Art Fair in Hong Kong. We're going to talk a little bit about later. I think that actually Gregorio is going to help us with that, because his practice is related a little bit more, not a little bit more. I mean, he is a very accurate curator and a gallerist, so he knows all these ideas behind the way to circulate this kind of medium, this kind of artistic production. So if you allow me to ask you, Gregorio, to talk a little bit about your practice before to present yourself and then share us the artistic works that we are going to be able to see at the Digital Art Fair, please.
Thank you very much, Arturo. It's a pleasure to be here and be part of this great panel. So my training was out of the contemporary world, contemporary art world. I took a master course at Sotheby's Institute in New York, and then I started this wonderful path that has taken me to meet amazing people like Eugenio, which shares his view of the world through actions and give us the opportunity to understand better what are the nuances and the different possibilities that when you look deeper into certain structures that are taken for granted. He helped us understand them better. In my case, I've been working for Max Estrella as an artistic co-director for 4 years now. Previously, I was part of a local art fair in Madrid. While in New York, I also was related to art fairs. I was lucky enough to be part of the launching of VIP Art Fair, which was the first digital art fair in the world, and that was a really great experience. So I guess my path has always been linked to digital art in a sense, either as a way to connect through art, in the sense of digital as a tool, but also now that I'm in Max Estrella, especially as a medium to create artwork. In Max Estrella, we have a very defined line of work with digital artists such as Eugenio, but also Rafael Lozano-Hemmer, Daniel Canogar, who's also showing at the fair, Charles Sanderson, who's also showing at the fair. So we're very proud of being the gallery that everyone looks at when it comes to digital art, at least in Spain. And we were very pleased to be part of this fair. It's definitely challenging to sell, to visualize digital art, video art. I mean, obviously it's much easier to just ship a painting, like screw 2 nails on the wall and just hang it. I mean, definitely there are challenges in terms of equipment, in terms of like technology, how it's gonna evolve through the years. So I guess for us, our success in promoting our artists, it's been linked to how passionate you can make collectors to feel about this type of work. I think technology also, it's a great bridge between people and art, as technology is part of our lives. I think when collectors approach digital art, they feel there's a little bit of a first step they've already taken by being already familiarized with technology. So the fact they already have technology in their lives, they relate to screens and to different gadgets. I think that helps bridging the artist discourse with the collectors, and help us also as a gallery to build that passion and trust the media as collectors that are supporting this new line of creation.
Wow. So do you want to introduce Eugenio Ampudia? We are very happy to have you, Eugenio, and well, you'll see that he is a very prominent artist with a long career that we are very happy to be learning more about your work. So I guess Gregorio, would you please introduce and then start a conversation to see Eugenio's work, please?
Brilliant. Sure. I'm more than happy to do it. So Eugenio, it's a very prominent artist in Spain, also in Latin America. His line of thought has basically connect to critical institutional critique, and he uses actions. So uses ephemeral actions to pose reflections on certain institutions, such as museums, for instance. So he has this series that is called Donde Dormir, which he basically sleeps in many different places as a position, as standing on what is his view on the role of these different institutions. He also, it's a man of ideas, and then those ideas, a lot of the times, crystallize with technology. He uses technology to shape up those ideas. when there are actions like so we at the fair we have two different, both lines of works are represented. The video that I don't know if we can show the, so this is the first piece you're gonna see at the fair, which is basically Eugenio launching onto the space the Guggenheim Museum, which is speaking about how, I mean, it's very open to interpretation for the viewer, but I mean, a very intuitive reading into this piece is that how far away sometimes institutions are from the actual regular visitor, and how sometimes the visitor are very detached from what are the main goals of the institutions in terms of programming, in terms of promoting a specific discourse, and how not only it's something that in terms of the actual team, because when you go to a gallery, I mean, you really connect with the people, but when you go to a museum, it's basically the staff that is in the different rooms that you get to meet. You never get to meet the curator or the director. So I guess there's this understanding.
0 and liftoff on Space Shuttle Endeavour, expanding the International Space Station.
Should we stop the video?
Classroom in space.
Roger, roll, Endeavour.
Oh, so I was saying that probably.
Or I mean, whatever you want to. We can. I mean, you can share the video, and we wait a little bit, and then you explain. Or if you can lower the volume or mute it, so we can listen better to you.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I think you've seen enough. Like you've seen the Guggenheim, like, you know, like launching up, right? So but basically you can see that Eugenio uses technology to recreate his fantasies in a way, like the way of portraying reality, which has this like fantastic sort of world, but at the same time, very much connected to the actual role of institutions. I'm gonna ask Eugenio if he wants to add something specific about this piece, and I'll translate if that's okay.
Perfect.
Eugenio, ya estamos explicando la pieza de espacio y museo, y
Sí,
lo he introducido como parte de la crítica institucional y cómo las instituciones en muchas ocasiones viven fuera de la Tierra, ¿no? Casi ya en el espacio. ¿Hay algo que tú quisieras puntualizar y añadir que ayude también a entender la pieza?
Bueno, quería también hablar sobre el interés reproductivo obsesivo del Guggenheim, a partir de pues, que haya uno en Nueva York, pero también en Bilbao o en Venecia o en Abu Dhabi o en Berlín, y me parece que era como dar una lección al director diciendo, bueno, ¿por qué nos colocáis en órbita geosatelital y colonizáis todos nuestros cerebros con las imágenes de el arte que tenéis en este contenedor? Que para mí, más que lo que es importante es que un museo no es un contenedor, sino un aspersor. Tiene que cambiar la sociedad que hay a su alrededor, y el Guggenheim está pensado sobre todo para ser visitado por gente de fuera, ¿no? Eso me preocupa.
Quisiera solo aprovechar para saludarte, Eugenio, en español, que ahora lo traduciremos, y decir que nos da gusto que nos acompañes. En realidad todos los panelistas tenemos español como primera lengua, pero nos estamos haciendo los institucionalizados y los globales hablando inglés, que también eso es algo de lo que podríamos reflexionar a partir de las ideas de ambos. I just say quickly in English that we are these panelists participating in the Digital Art Fair. We are Spanish speakers, that's our first language, but it's also interesting just to think about how these the institutions and even the languages work as a medium to participate or to explain in an international way. Sorry for interrupt that, Eugenio and Gregorio, please go ahead.
So I was just going to translate what Eugenio added to what I had already explained on the work, which is that he was also very interested in how this strategy of expanding the brand has placed the museum in so many different cities around the world. So Eugenio, I guess he just wanted to suggest to the director of the Guggenheim, why don't you go one step farther and just like launch it to the space, and then from there you can just like throw the ideas to every mind in the world. And I think it's interesting also to translate this about Eugenio, because he has this very humorous approach, which makes it fun, which I think is interesting as well, because when it comes to a very brainy sort of discourse as Eugenio's, when you make it fun, it also transpires and helps it to be closer to the audience, which is actually what he's criticizing to the museum, that is very detached from the viewer.
And so it's very interesting how these ideas are connected in terms of the themes that the artists are criticizing or reflecting. Before going to a round of questions, I want to introduce the fourth body of work that JC is going to help us to share the screen, please, with the GIFs. It's okay. So this is part of the at the digital art fair. There are these GIFs available for the audiences, for the public to see, and they are by an Argentinian artist, another Spanish-speaking artist from Argentina, Nicolas Janowski and Enrique Méndez-de-Hoyos. Both are artists that I am very privileged to be collaborating with, showing them at the gallery in Mexico City, Almanaque Fotografica. My gallery is dedicated and oriented to photo, to contemporary photo and image-based art. And when I started the project 7 years ago, I was more concentrating in photography, digital photo, but at least it is traditional photography in terms that we see a flat image framed on the wall, and then obviously the ideas that we see are different from the original moment when photography was created as an artistic medium. I mean, these ideas related to Roland Barthes or to Walter Benjamin or to Susan Sontag that are related to politics, related to the documentary, related to the representation. And then the medium per se has been changing as you are also helping us and the audience to share that, to live it, in order to become more a platform for video or even for virtual reality. The videos that we saw, the GIFs that we saw, just a quick approach by Nicolas Janowski from Argentina. He's also a very interesting and talented artist that has been showing his work internationally. And that images that we saw belong to a series which is called Amazon's The Liquid Serpent. And it started as a documentary fictional photography series of the Amazons, of the Amazonia, or this region that as Nicolas says, is by the original communities and by the people living in the surroundings, is not even considered as just nature or an animal. It's a hybrid. It's a hybrid that it's an ecosystem where the indigenous people and the animals and the water and the flora living there are considered as one thing in a cosmogonic approach. That is exactly what I think the ideas in the hegemonic, even in the most regarded and established institutions in Europe or in developed countries, are watching very, very carefully and very with a lot of interest two ideas that are created in what was called the peripheric, or the outside, or the developing countries, or even a very almost insulting way that it was used in the third world, that now it's becoming something completely porous and very questionable. And we are actually an example to show with the audience in Hong Kong, in Asia, that the art and the art related with technology is not only created in the most developed countries with supposedly to be an easier access to technology, but in countries like Mexico, in Argentina, in Spain, and we are reflecting on the hegemonic, of course, we're reflecting in the institutions, but also we are adding our point of view and the things that we think we have to change or we have to reflect on. So this round of questions, and I am going to start in the same order. So I would like to ask you, Enrique, how do you think that the video is being perceived and circulated in both in countries like Mexico and in the countries where you have been able to share your work? How do you think is perceived both by audiences and by institutions?
Sure. Well, it's really interesting. It changes a lot from context to context, but the most common commentary that I've heard is that it is quite absorbing and probably hypnotizing. You know, because we are, you know, we have this animal obsession to stick to images. So it's like seeing yourself in a satirical way or in a humorous way in a mirror, right? I can call this this video piece a brief and satirical history of humanity. You know, from when we were, and when I say the anthropological machine, I'm kind of mocking and ironizing about this really thin line that separates human from animal, right? So I guess the most like sensible or sensitive part of the video is what's coming for all of us, and I think that was like one of my my true interest here. But like what are we leaving behind us, you know, as a generation? But we have reached such a critical point that we have to really think about the future. You know, I have a 13-year-old daughter, which really thinks that the world is going to end. You know, she's really quite convinced that there is no future. And I would, wow. Yes, and that's pretty tragic. And so it's an open question. It's we're living in a moment of biological crisis and war, which is something that humanity have passed in the 20th century, in the Second World War. And but once again, we have to we really have to push forward ourselves to thinking in solutions, you know, and massive solution, and stay out and go out and speak out.
Thank you, Enrique. And that's exactly the idea behind taking the time to produce this kind of artifacts, of pieces, and then to circulate and to share with the public. And I've been in the art field for several years. I remember that the first video art festival in Mexico City, which was called Video Arte 2002, 20 years ago. It was very, very well received. It was done by the so-called Consejo El Conaculta, which now it's the Ministry of Culture, and it was in a very important landmark building in downtown, and it was presented in Palacio de Bellas Artes. It was a very, very, very big thing with more than 20 countries participating. It was built by Yola, and it has been 20 years, but still I think that people are very curious, general public, general audiences, to deal with videos. Sometimes they don't have, sometimes even the spectator, the public, are not clear of how to react with this kind of art production. Or if I am talking about the individual collector, it's also kind of questioning what are they going to do with that piece, how it is going to be even presented in terms of clicking on and off to the monitor, but also to be shared with their people, with their audiences. Gregorio, you've been explaining that you've been dealing with the gallery mostly in this very challenging medium, but also with great artists. You also mentioned Rafael Lozano-Hemer. I know him perfectly. When I was the cultural attaché of the Embassy of Mexico in Australia, I remember that we bring a very big piece with the help also of the Embassy of Canada, because Canada had the money and Mexico has the force to present a major commission at the Federation Square with a very complex projection on a sphere. So it's not only difficult and technologically challenging, but also questionable by the audiences to see, okay, now what do I do with this piece? So in your experience, how are you circulating, sharing, and accessing to collections with this kind of medium?
It's a really interesting question. Thank you, Arturo. I'm going to say that in the case of Rafael Lozano-Hemer is an easy one, because he works with pieces that interact. Necessarily, they need the audience to actually function. So I think, and Eugenio is pretty much following the same idea. That idea of the piece that is not completed until the actual visitor, the audiences, interact with it. And there are many pieces like that in Eugenio's work, that other line of work that has to do with technology. We can see that, and with Rafael is the same thing. Obviously, as you mentioned, there are artists that it's not like you hand everyone a sheet with instructions on how to interact with the work. So they're interesting ways of people to approach this work, and definitely institutions is the same thing. Obviously, curators are very supportive. I mean, luckily, for instance, the Museum of Modern Art in New York and San Francisco, they have specific departments of digital art. More and more museums, obviously you're talking about a specific budget range. Not every museum has a specific department, but those that are larger museums, they have departments with their own budget allocated for this type of work. So in one way, obviously, we are working with a smaller number of museums that can allow to acquire or to show this type of work. But normally they are very high end. I mean, those that can allow it. So that is it's a two-way street in a way. Somehow you have less options, but those options are better. So for instance, recently Daniel Canogar was showing at in Washington at the Phillips Collection, or even at the Prado Museum was shown recently. Eugenio has been showing also recently in large institutions as well. So we find that museums have understood that technology and that appealing for the audiences to interact with them, with those digital pieces, help visitors to come to the museum. So we've seen that, for instance, at El Prado Museum with Canogar. We've seen it with Eugenio Ampudia as well. When we this piece that is shown at the fair and at the Liceo, it was great to read. So I don't know if we can play a little 1 minute of this clip, and then I'll explain more. Okay, thank you.
Beautiful.
So it was, thank you, Arturo. So it was really great this piece was shot in 1 day. It was a day before the first day after lockdown was over in Spain. It was a Monday, June 22nd, 2020. And so it was great to read like the cover page of the most important newspaper in Barcelona, in Catalonia, reading that Eugenio Ampudia had contributed with a larger effort and a larger effect, larger impact to visualizing Barcelona's culture and the Opera House more than the actual Ministry of Culture, local Ministry of Culture in Catalonia. I think that tells you a lot about the power of digital art, the possibilities that now the social media offer us. It's not all bad, right? I mean, we can try to find the good in the evil. And I think a positive side of things is that us promoting digital art, we have the right media to communicate it, to disseminate it in a larger way than it was before. So I think that also helps us. We are a minority in a way, but I think the fact that technology is growing sharper, is getting better, and we're learning how to use it better as well, I think position us in not such a bad place, I would say, to connect to people, institutions as well.
Okay, and now I would like to ask Eugenio, in terms of his career, how or when did you decide to start this journey into digital, which is very, very elaborated, to produce this kind of features like Enrique's, like Nicolas, like yours, like the artists that we'll be talking about, takes a lot of time. It's a whole production that is not going to be only, or it's not oriented to be a movie, like a cinematographic movie that people are used to watch on a platform on video or going to a cinema. It's something that you know from the beginning that it's going to be different. So why did you decide to get into this trouble? En español, Eugenio, lo que te quería preguntar es si nos puedes contar un poco de tu trayectoria como artista. ¿En qué momento decides llegar o dedicarte o producir en medios digitales, siendo que es algo complejo de elaborar? Es decir, es prácticamente producir una película que no se va a consumir en una plataforma, no se va a ver en el cine, sino que más bien está pensada para después presentarse, no sabemos cómo. El propio artista a veces, si no es una comisión, no tiene muy claro cómo lo va a acabar produciendo. Y mi pregunta es, ¿por qué te metes en esos problemas?
Bueno, a ver, lo primero yo creo que hay que deconstruir mi trabajo. Mi trabajo consiste en mirar alrededor, sacar conclusiones y contárselo a la gente que tengo cerca. Si eso lo trato de hacer con otros sistemas que no es audiovisuales o imagen en movimiento, es posible que pierda muchas posibilidades de comunicación, ¿no? Entonces, a partir de repensar razonablemente mi trabajo, decidí que podía usar todo tipo de medios y que un artista lo que hace es contar cosas a los demás, ¿no? Cosas que son necesarias de contar y que además hay que ponerlas por delante de otras, de tal forma que cualquiera, cuando se dedica a contar cosas a los demás, sabe que al comunicar tiene que usar todas las armas posibles, y todas esas armas pasan por el vídeo, el audio, la conexión con el espectador, que yo llamo ciudadano más que espectador, porque me da, tengo la sensación de que ser espectador solamente es dejar con quien conversamos en una posición demasiado fría, y entonces creo que el uso de todas de las tecnologías por parte de los artistas es imprescindible. De hecho, creo que todos los artistas a lo largo de toda la historia del arte han usado la última tecnología para contar cosas. Es evidente que la biblioteca que tenía Velázquez sobre óptica era una de las mejores de su tiempo y la usaba para trabajar, y yo creo que no podemos desligarnos de la tecnología que nos envuelve. Hay una cosa que me parece curiosa: siempre cuando se habla de tecnología parece que se habla de poshumanismo o de cosas no fabricadas por los humanos. La tecnología la fabricamos los humanos, no vienen marcianos a producir nuestra tecnología que nosotros usamos. Y creo que además, cuando contamos las cosas, el formato, el medio, aporta concepto a la pieza. De tal forma que no hay cosas que se deben contar con las armas poderosas que tenemos en la actualidad, y no hacerlo sería una dejación de funciones, ¿no?
Ahora voy a intentar traducir todas estas siguientes ideas. Le voy a pedir también que me ayude a Gregorio, porque seguramente se me va a ir lo más importante, pero eso es un error mío, porque pues, eso ya está dentro de mi capacidad. I'm just going to translate, and I'm going to ask Gregorio to help me if I lose the main part. And I'm sure that we're going to have captions in this conversation if you see it later on. Eugenio was telling us that in his work, in his artistic production, he deconstructs the reality, and he deconstructs the culture and the ideas that he's watching. So that's why he's trying to do it with the medium that is suitable, that is approachable, in order to communicate with the other, to communicate with the tools that the digital is able to, well, it's intrinsic and it has it, video and audio. And he's been watching that this kind of tool, this kind of way, he connects better with the spectator, that he doesn't like to call it a spectator, but more a citizen, because a spectator is more like a passive way to approach or to see the art, whereas the citizen is more like the people that is around and has to interact with the piece of art in ways. And also that well, he's remembering something very important, that the art has always been using the technology available. He was talking about Velázquez, when the uses of the optics, that obviously has been a long time ago. And he's also telling us something very important, that technology being created by human is not something that was created by people from Mars. I mean, it's something that we as a human created. So, of course, it's something that has to be, I mean, or should be, or we should have to feel it familiar. And if the digital medium, the video, the computers, the audio gives a specific a tier of tools, then why not to use it? Those are the suitable tools to depict our times in a way. What do you think, Gregorio? Did I miss it all?
Oh, no. It was perfect. Yeah, I think you covered it all. Yeah. I mean, Eugenio is like this brilliant witness of reality. And as he said, I mean, if the message is important, is a priority for citizens to be aware of, why don't we use the best strategies in place to deliver that message? So I think it's reasonable, right?
Very well. So I think we are getting to the end of the conversation. It's been a privilege and honor, and I'm really happy and proud to be talking with you. I really want to thank you for your time, for your interest. Of course, I want to thank the Digital Art Fair in Hong Kong for making this happen. It's truly important, and I have to recognize and to acknowledge that the team, especially Joyce Lee, has been very interested in having a very wide range of expressions from different worlds from different parts of the world. So I think it's we all would love to be there watching the reaction. It's in central Hong Kong, and they are covering a very wide scope of what is happening in terms of the artistic production in new media, with a very large audience, with a quite international presence from institutions, from galleries, from artists. So I am not able to see here in my device the question. So I want to ask our team, Joyce, if you could help us to share questions, or if not, to have a final comment from our panelists.
I think we don't have any questions over here. So if there are sort of final comments from all the speakers, that would be great. Thank you so much, Arturo.
Thank you. Well, so I just want to thank you again, and wanted to ask a final comment regarding all the comments that we have been listening. Starting with you, Enrique.
Sure. I love this idea that Eugenio and Gregorio share about the message is the media, and the media is part of the message. So in terms of digital art, we have a large history behind, you know, the history of cinema, the history of photography, and virtual reality that we are having right now. So I guess the challenge for humanity in the next is how to bridge and not to break this connection with the natural and the real and the material and the human, right? How not to forget completely that we are animals, just another animal in Earth. And thank you everybody.
Gregorio.
I want to take it from there, because it's really what I also wanted to share, what Enrique what he just said about nature and our nature, and how Eugenio, for instance, with the concert for plants, it's leveling up nature to human condition as another entity in this planet. I mean, we sometimes forget it's not only our humanity, we forget that we are not the only ones on this planet. And I think we need to look to contemporary art for hope, for messages that help us being more conscious about how to save this planet, how to make Enrique's daughter have hope again. And yeah, I mean, power to the contemporary art.
I guess I lost the final part just due to technology, that it was a little bit frozen, but we got we got the whole message. Eugenio, ¿quisieras compartir lo que tuvimos sobre el arte digital, sobre tu propia carrera?
Simplemente decir que creo que el arte digital, igual que todo lo digital, nos acerca más a las personas. Creo que es importante no separar los diferentes tipos de arte. O sea, creo que todos los artistas contamos cosas y el medio que usamos solamente aporta posibilidades, y que, pues, por decir algo que me parece interesante en lo que estamos trabajando en el estudio, creo que en los próximos 10 años las posibilidades de conocimiento de los humanos se ampliarán muchísimo gracias a la relación interespecies, porque creo que la acumulación de datos puede darnos posibilidades de intercambios de información con otras especies, y la relación interespecies es algo que me interesa muchísimo, como habéis visto en mi concierto del liceo.
Amazing. Gregorio Eugenio is telling us a very important thing, that the medium, the new media in contemporary art, it's a medium that can join us. It's not to separate, it's not to break, but more to feel that we are part of a same thing. And that he's working in the studio now with even more intriguing and avant-garde ideas about the interrelation of the species, just like the piece that he did in the Opera House, where plants are the public. He's very interested in how the human is going to be able to communicate with other species, probably after all of these accumulating data accumulating that basically goes obviously through the medium of the computers, of the new media, that is basically the main treat of the digital art fair in Hong Kong. We are showing our work there. Could you please share your social media if people want to ask you questions later on, or to share with you ideas? Gregorio, por favor.
So we are Max Estrella Gallery. So if you just search Max Estrella, it's like double L, like a star in Spanish, you'll find us.
Eugenio, do you have social media that you want to share? Your Instagram?
Bueno, o sea, mi página es eugenioampudia.net y mi Instagram es Eugenio Ampudia, ¿no?
Enrique.
Sí, claro, bueno, pueden ver el trabajo a través de Almanaque, evidentemente, y también el personal, mi Instagram personal, que es Méndez-de-Hoyos en Instagram, y Méndez-de-Hoyos.com, which is my website.
And I'm Arturo Delgado. The gallery is Almanaque Fotografica, and it's exactly the same in the website or in the Instagram. Well, it's been a pleasure. I'm really, really happy to be to have the honor to share this morning in Mexico City, this afternoon in Spain, and this night in Hong Kong, which is also make us think of how medium not only place us together, but also allow us to travel in time. So thank you very much. It's been a really, really pleasure. And I just want to say thank you to the audience, of course, and also thank you to the team of the Digital Art Fair. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to see you soon in Mexico City, in Spain, in Argentina, in Hong Kong, or in the screen. Thank you for everything, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Arturo.
Thanks a lot.
Muchísimas gracias. Ha sido un enorme placer conoceros directamente. Gracias.
Gracias.
Thanks.
Chao.
Adiós.